Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 56 of the Powerful Content Podcast. So lovely to have you here with me here today. I hope you enjoyed last week's break from regular programming, and if you haven't listened to it yet, go and check out last week's episode with my husband, Mr. Meld, also known as Adam. He was an absolute trooper to come onto the podcast and interview me for a bit of fun. So today's episode though, I'm talking about outsourcing and specifically outsourcing your content. Now, I know and I get that it's scary to outsource your content to someone else. Your content represents you. So if someone else is creating it for you, then they need to think and sound like you, which is a hard thing, right? And I also get your hesitation because this is your baby. You created this business, and to hand over even such a small, tiny piece can be really, really hard. But what I want you to get out of this episode is that it's possible. It's possible to let go in small amounts if you need to and get help, because it is so hard to do this business thing alone. So I'm hoping I can give you some guidance on when it's time to outsource, how to go about thinking about which parts of your content you need to outsource, and how to make sure your outsource relationship is a success. So first of all, why should you even consider outsourcing your content? Well, I think there are three main benefits. The first one is the cost and the time savings that you'll get from it. So I'm a huge believer that once you acknowledge and accept that you have a finite amount of time, energy, and resources, then life and business is going to flow so much easier. But what most people don't realize is that by outsourcing, they're not only saving time, as someone else is usually doing the work for you, but you are saving money as well. And I know that this might sound like a strange concept, but think about how much you could pay someone per hour to, say, schedule your social media for you, and compare that to how much you could earn in that same hour. So I'd love for you to think of outsourcing as not just a cost, but an investment in the potential income that you could earn. And the second thing is, I think that outsourcing allows you to access expert skills. Now, we all know that well-known concept of working within our zone of genius. So imagine how much quicker a piece of work will get done with higher quality as well by someone who not only loves that type of work, but is a specialist in that area too. And then the last benefit of outsourcing your content is you get to focus on the creating rather than the publishing side of things. So I believe that most people really do deep down love to create. It's all the other stuff that seems like hard work. So dealing with the technology, doing tasks in the right order, polishing off that piece of work and bringing it to the world. When you outsource your content, you don't have to worry about all the details. You can focus on bringing your beautiful creative self to your content and loving on your clients. So how do we know when it's time to outsource? Well, the simple answer to this is whenever you're ready, whenever you can make that mindset shift from it being a cost, from the fact that no one can do things as well as you can, to believing that others can achieve the same things as what you can achieve with your guidance, then you're ready. You can start small, and as long as you've got a supportive framework in place, then really the sky's the limit. But as a general rule of thumb, you should think about outsourcing your content when either you find your consistency slipping, there's not enough time in the day to plan, let alone create and publish your content, it's just not your jam. So it might be a task that you don't love or you only love parts of it. And it's not cost effective for you to be doing that particular task. So now that you're ready to outsource, now you understand the benefits of outsourcing, and when it's time to actually outsource, what can you outsource? What tasks should you hand off? In reality, the list of what you could outsource with your content and who you could outsource it to is absolutely endless. And I think that there's 3 ways of looking at this. You can look at it from the creating perspective. You can look at it from bringing it to the world, so all of the back end stuff, or DIY support. So let's just quickly go through these. Creating is the difficult one. Creating is very, very hard to outsource because you need to be very clear on all aspects of your marketing and brand. And we'll talk a bit about this later. So when we look at outsourcing our core content, which is a podcast, a blog, or a video, outsourcing the creation of a podcast or the video is almost impossible, as you need to physically record these yourself. But you could outsource the creation of your blog to a copywriter or a content writer. The second way of looking at what you can outsource is the bringing it to the world part. And this is probably the easiest way to start when you're thinking of outsourcing your content. I find the real value is about creating space by outsourcing the pieces that go into bringing this piece of content to the world. So as an example, you might get someone to upload the blog that you've written to your website, find, resize, rename the image, create the alternative text, the meta descriptions and the formatting, and then schedule it to be published for you. So it's all that back-end techie stuff. You might get someone to create insights and quotes and graphics from your core content. You could look at someone scheduling your social media content. So you create it, but someone else actually schedules it for you. You could look at outsourcing the editing and publishing of podcasts. And this may include a whole wide range of tasks, such as creating graphics, creating the copy, the show notes, uploading it to your website, creating a transcript and turning it into a blog. As you can see, the opportunities are absolutely endless. If your core content is a video, you might get someone to edit and publish that video. You could also get them to create snippets for sharing to social media and then schedule them as well. What about if writing and formatting emails wasn't your thing? You could also outsource that. And of course, you could outsource the creation of a lead magnet and email automations. Mega hint here, I do this. Any number of people could do any of these tasks for you. Virtual assistant, social media manager, copywriter, content writer, content strategist like myself, a web developer, podcast editor, just to name a few. Who you choose depends on the level of expertise and specialty you require, and of course, your budget. Okay, so the last way that you can outsource your content is through DIY support. And what does this really mean, Mel? This is around having a mentor, a coach, or a community that can help you with the knowledge and accountability to get your content out into the world. A coach was the catalyst for me for starting this podcast. And my membership, The Content Effect, is the perfect example of having a mentor and community to support you in building a framework to support yourself. So really, you're only limited by your imagination when it comes to choosing what to outsource with your content. So once you've actually chosen what you want to outsource, who you want to outsource it to, it's really important that you set yourself up for success with the person you have chosen to partner with your outsourcing your content. And I think that there is probably 4 main ways to do this. The first is to be super clear on your audience and message. I find that so many people feel disappointed or disillusioned when they start to outsource their content, and especially that creation piece if it's applicable, as it doesn't sound like them or it doesn't feel like their tone of voice. And it's true, 100% true, that it definitely takes a specific skill to be able to produce content that sounds like someone else. But this feeling may also result of not being clear on your message, including your values and beliefs. I really don't believe that you can expect someone to create and then publish content that sounds like you if you're not 100% sure yourself what this looks like, sounds like, or who it's for. So you need to be very, very clear on your audience and message so that you can communicate that to your outsourcing partner. Now, the second step is to really set the expectations. Get clear on what you want the outcome to be of the task or the project that you have outsourced, and in particular, what you want the outcome of the relationship to be. To help you with this, a job or task description will absolutely leave no room for interpretation. And this is especially important if you're feeling that reluctance that someone can't do something as well as what you can. Making sure that you have a very good description or a process in place will mean that the person that you're outsourcing to knows exactly what to do and exactly what the outcome needs to be. Now, the third step, and I think that this is something that a lot of people forget to do, is to have a review or a check-in. So just like, the performance reviews in the corporate space, checking in with your outsourcing partner will help both you and them provide constructive feedback and further deepen your relationship. Now, I find that a lot of people become really disappointed and disillusioned with the relationship they have with their outsourcing partner because they believe that the tasks or the processes weren't done to a particular standard or to an expected standard. And sometimes this is just because there has been no review and check-in process. If you can catch those things early, then you can make sure that you maintain a good relationship with each other and that you get the outcomes that you are expecting. Now, the last thing that I think that you need to have in place as well is a supportive framework for you. And this includes 4 things. Being prepared, so knowing all the things you could possibly talk about when it comes to your content. And the second thing is having a plan, which is around turning your ideas into powerful content that takes your ideal client on a very strategic journey with you. The third thing is to produce the content. So actually create the content in a way that's easy and efficient. And the last thing is having a process in place. So this is about knowing all the moving parts, which not only makes sure that you don't miss a step, but your outsourced partner doesn't miss that step either. Now, I believe it's entirely your responsibility to be prepared and have a plan. So those first 2 steps. This means that you really do need to come up with all of the ideas and put them on paper in a logical and strategic way that leads your ideal client through that client journey. It also means that your outsourced partner then knows exactly what you're focusing on, your objectives and your proposed themes for the month. I find that at an absolute minimum, this is a no-brainer for success when you're outsourcing. Otherwise, you're both going to be wandering in the dark, you're going to be guessing, and you'll get to that place where you both feel disappointed with the relationship because the outcomes aren't being met. Now, having that third step in place, the repeatable way to produce your content, is a bonus. And a process in place will really help you with setting the expectations, as there will likely be timeframes around the tasks, and it's going to help with the review process as well. If you'd like to know more about supporting yourself with this framework, you can download my new free resource, Unlock Your Content Consistency. And if you want to go deeper still, then make sure you purchase the masterclass that goes with it for just $7. So, I hope today's episode has given you some inspiration and insights into outsourcing your content. To recap, we covered off why you should outsource your content, when the right time is to outsource your content, some examples of what content-y type things you could outsource, and then how to make sure it's a successful relationship with your outsourcing partner. Outsourcing can be such an amazing way to grow personally and to grow your business as well. Because like I said at the beginning of this episode, it's so hard to do this business thing alone. I really hope that this has given you some confidence that you can outsource and you can do it successfully. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.